Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to extra time segments. Manchester United won, Everton won our last game at Old Trafford on Saturday. Everton came away with a credible point at the end of the day. Decent result in the grand scheme of things, given the circumstances as well. I'm joined by Terry. We're going to look into the nitty-gritty of that game. Terry, what was your feeling when you came away from that game with a 1-1 draw?
Very good, because I was in a bar in Manchester watching a fully United fans, so I felt very good. I've got to be honest, I went into the game expecting nothing short of a hiding off Man United, because there was a few things, to consider. The main one being that the result in pre-season was so convincing. We were just completely second best to Man United in that game. Man United losing to Aston Villa in their last Premier League game at Old Trafford, I thought that would work against us, because you don't often see Man United go on runs of defeats. They have like a shock result and then they'll bounce back and beat someone. And I thought, their bad result has come a week too early for us. So I didn't expect much out of the game. And then on top of that, the injuries to the players that we had, like Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison, Coleman, key players who would start if fit. So I was just not expecting much, and then excellent professional job was done on Man United. And the lineup, when it first came out, the Man United line, I was sitting there, and as I say, at the bar with my friend who's a Man United fan, and I was like, what's that about? And he put his head in his hands and went, he's not taking this game seriously, he's not taking Everton seriously. And I think that will have worked into our favour as well. I think that will have G'd our players up, and lo and behold, it seemed to.
Yeah, of course, we went into the game. I wasn't confident at all about this one. I was in a very similar sentiment to you. To be honest, I was saying I did a little preview on here and said that I couldn't see anything other than us getting beat, to be honest. But we went into the game, played pretty well. It was pretty end-to-end, quite even. Man United get the goal right before half-time. And what does Everton do to Anthony Martial for him to score against us every time, even when he's like horrific?
So some players are just like that with Everton. Too many, frankly, but they've just got a good run of scoring against Everton, and he seems to be developing into another one. Maybe that's why he was picked. They thought, well, he's always got the sign over Everton, so we're going to have to play him. It was a good goal. I don't think you could particularly point the finger at anyone in particular. It was just it was very harsh on Everton, because we played really well in the first half, and to go in at half time, 1-0 down, we didn't deserve it. But just at the wider game, I just think that we did a really good number on them. There was some things we'll go into in a minute that I noticed when we were playing, and I was really impressed with, especially from Benitez. But obviously half time 1-0. But I didn't feel like from the way we played that we were out of the game at 1-0, even though we didn't have our main goal scorers. I always felt we were good for a goal, and so we were.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really good goal as well. Andros Townsend with a brilliant finish, but a really good move as well. Damari Gray did excellent in the build-up to this, didn't he? With his, the way he brushed off the challenge of Fred, and
the goal is just magnificent. It's like I want that. It's a work of art, that goal, because every single player is just fantastic. And that's what I was talking about with Benitez before. Every time Fred got the ball, it was like a pressing trigger for our team. Every chance we got in the first half seemed to come from harassing Fred when he was on the ball. So obviously Benitez has identified him as a weak link in the midfield. So Fred loses out to a 50-50 from Damari Gray, who carries it up the line, gets it to Decore, who is just unbelievable. Like the way he just glides forward and the weight of pass onto Andros Townsend. And then obviously Townsend, he sort of gently touches it with his, I can't remember which way round it was now. I think he gently touches it with the outside of his left foot and then slots it with his right. He is a very two-footed player, and just the weight of every ball and every single motion in that goal, in the build-up, there's not a single wasted movement, a single wasted second. Every single player does well in it. That's why I'm so happy with that goal. It's really good from every player. There's no luck involved. It's just a well-earned, well-executed goal on the break.
I can't remember the last time he scored a goal like that, where a pass and move where everyone seems to be, on the nail.
I remember one a few years ago at home against Brighton that Richarlison scored, a breakout.
Yeah.
The goal, that one, that sort of move, it reminded me of. And this one was even crisper than that. Where those three players involved, there's three of our players of the season so far, and they were just fantastic, each one of them.
Yeah, it was fitting that those three should be involved at the goal. Like you say, I think they've been standout performers, and of course, two of them have only been here since July. So, I think credit to Benitez for, making some clever signings when his hands were very much tied.
Yeah, I mean, I won't go into it too much. It's been covered, but I was not entirely on board with some of the signings. I was always quite happy with Damari Gray, but that was about it. And I've rolled my hands up, had my eye wiped completely with Townsend. Didn't think he was going to turn into Mo Salah or Lionel Messi because you wanted goals and assists he's getting. But I say Rondon is still yet to impress, isn't he? It's not been great, but there's a long season. I don't think he's going to be playing as much as he has been of late the whole season. Let's touch wood anyway. As soon as we get Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin back, I think they'll go right ahead of him in the pecking order. So Rondon will build up his fitness and then become a bench option after that. And if he never does anything, he was free. But yeah, I've opened my mind a little bit more to some of these signings because I was bang rock about Andros Townsend. He's been superb.
Yeah, I mean, I think Rondon's been poor, but I do think he improved a little bit against United. I thought he started to look a little bit more like some sort of competent striker, at least.
He's
off the pace, isn't he?
What you want from him as a free transfer? I don't think he was worth it anyway. But if we didn't have Mu, we'd be playing right now. He is slow. He is very immobile, but he's not fit and he hasn't played for months and he's come back from China. He probably will get better. Whether he's improves enough to make people turn their opinions round on him, I don't know. I don't think he will. But at the end of the day, he didn't cost anything, so I can't be too annoyed.
Yeah, it's not Oumar Niasse, at least.
Yeah. It's the Enner Valencia signing, isn't he? He's to Rondon is the Calvert-Lewin, what Enner Valencia was to Lukaku, just that little player to carry his towels around for him and give him a little rest at the end of the game if he needs to, and rub his calves better when he's finished in the match. Just a little servant.
Yeah, well, I think we'll probably see a little bit more out of Rondon at some stage. I just don't think he's ready enough, and I don't think we were banking on a Calvert-Lewin injury in September. I think that's where the issue is come from.
Yeah, I mean, I think you never, bank on a player not getting injured, but I think in a perfect world, you would have pushed it back a few weeks, to give Rondon a chance to get up to speed before he starting every game. But it hasn't affected us too badly. We've still got some good league results in that time, and Calvert-Lewin's close to return now. I think either Richarlison will come back first and go straight into the number 9 position, or Calvert-Lewin will come back and they'll both go in at the same time. But I can't see Rondon starting too many more games in the near future.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes anyway. In terms of the game, though, we didn't really stop at 1-1. We did go for the win. United did as well. Obviously, it was again quite even. The one chance at the end, this has sparked a lot of debate. The goal that was obviously disallowed by Yerry Mina. A lot of people were debating about Tom Davis and whether he should have took the shot or whether he should have crossed it, or what was your take on that? Would you have, if you were in Davis' position, do you think the shot was the right move, or was he right to cross it?
I think he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't, because it's just heavily outcome based. If he passes that and Yerry Mina's onside and he scores, nobody cares that he didn't shoot. Or if he'd shot and missed, he'd have gone, well, how come he didn't pass to Mina who was coming in? And that screenshot bollocks where they're acting like, he's there and all he's got to do is place it. It's happening in fractions of a second, all that, while other players are moving, everything. It's not as simple as people are making it out.
Yeah, I think that really irritates me, that screenshot, because it acts as if Yerry Mina isn't on the back stick. Like, there's like no one else in the camera except him and the keeper.
Tom Davies has made the braver decision there, and under pressure, he's played it back for the player to get a tap in, and instead of just whacking it himself and going for glory, and it's gone in the net. The problem is Thierry Mina is not a forward and hasn't timed his run properly and has scored the goal whilst offside. I don't blame Tom Davies for that at all. Everyone's going, "Oh, no, you need to put it in there." I think he made a decision on the moment, and it was the more clear-headed decision of, rather than try and take on the goalkeeper from an angle, he passed it in and took the goalkeeper out of the equation. It's just that Yerry Mina was offside, so he's unfortunate. But because it's Tom Davies, everyone's got to stick the knife in. If Damari Gray does that,
if Decore crossed it or something.
Yeah, if Damari Gray or Decore, someone who's right banging everyone's good books at the minute, does that, then I don't think the reaction's the same. And I think Tom Davies is just the easiest one to kick, and I don't think he made the wrong decision. I think it wasn't executed properly by either of the two players, but I think the decision was right.
Yeah, no, well, to be honest, I've wanted to see more of that. I think it was quite a composed decision. I don't think enough of our players have that kind of composure. I think there's plenty of players who would have shanked it into the stands.
Yeah, either got more stick for smashing it and missing or being saved than he did for that. So he's made the cool decision, the calm decision, and it hasn't paid off in this instance. But again, it's frustrating. I wish it had counted, and I just can't bring myself to moan at Tom Davies again because a goal hasn't counted. It's just can't just kick him every time anything happens that he's involved in.
Yeah, and to be honest, personally, I thought he took up a good position to get the ball in the first place. That's like, people don't even discuss that he was well placed, to get the pass from Godfrey.
Yeah, I mean, go over it all night, but I don't blame him for the goal not counting. I think he made the right decision, and he was just unfortunate that Mina was offside. Just one of them things.
Yeah, well, like you say, I think if that's Calvert-Lewin, he keeps himself on.
I think he would have. And if Calvert-Lewin would have scored it and didn't keep himself on, no one would have blamed Davies. They'd have blamed Calvert-Lewin for going too early.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know whether people are trying to give a lot of leeway to the fact that it's a centre half who's mistimed the run. But
it's just because people like to beat up on Tom Davies. I'm not saying he's good enough. That's a different discussion, but people do like to beat up on Tom Davies, and it's easier to beat up on him than it is Yerry Mina. So they've been picked on Tom rather than Yerry.
Yeah. So it's a tough one, but it is disappointing to have not won that game, I think, because we really should have won it, I think.
I don't know about should. We really could have won it. Man United were the better team for large spells, but we did an excellent job on them. Played on their weaknesses. We always allowed Aaron Wan-Bissaka to have the ball, but pressurised other players. Rafa Benitez has clearly done his homework on Man United. I think we could have won. I'd have loved to have won, but I couldn't walk away from that game and go, we should have won that. Man United did make a lot of the chances, so I think a draw. And I mean, I'm not in the business of being unbiased and fair when it's Everton, because I want us to win even if we don't deserve it. But I think a neutral would say that's probably the right result. Yeah,
I think it was a fair result.
Yeah.
One last thing before we finish up is obviously outstanding performance. We spoke about the three involved in the goal, but what about Alan? I think he's been amazing this season.
Yeah, he looks like he's fit and sharp again. I think what really undone us last season was having a long spell without Alan and a long spell without Decore. I think the two of them together are the heartbeat of the team. There's absolutely no cover for either of them, and they both had decent injuries in the last season. So I'm just we've clearly shown we can cope just about without a lot of players, without Coleman. We've got no extra right back, but we've managed. Got no strikers really outside of Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, before we got Rondon, but we've coped without Decore and without Alan, just one of them. We're not even half the team, so just wrap them in cotton wool and try and bring in a centre midfielder who can help them in January. I know we've got a lot of bodies in there, Delph and Gomez aren't worth a carrot, frankly. Gabaman, who knows? Tom Davies is the closest you get, but he's quite a drop off compared to them two. But Alan is one of our two most key players, and they're both in the same position.
Yeah, it's one of them. We really do need to strengthen that midfield, I think, next year.
Yeah, I'd do it straight away. Matty Sean Longstaff, not Matty. Sean Longstaff is the link, isn't he, because of his contract situation? And you saw that. I don't know if you saw that stat that was going around Twitter of the successful, successful. Yeah, and Alan was top of it. I saw another one where it was Takore was number 2 and Alan was number 1. But on both of them, Sean Longstaff ranked quite highly. So I can, if it is a genuine link and he comes in, I can see why. I think that'd be a shrewd move, considering we've got a lot of bodies, but not much.
One of them, I think for him as well, his stock's not necessarily very high, so I don't expect, even with regardless of contract situation, I think he'll be cheap.
Well, it's never cheap to buy off a Premier League club, regardless, especially an English player or a player they don't want to sell, which he ticks all them boxes. But if they're going to lose him on a free, or potentially lose him on a free, they might just decide, you know what, cut bait, get some money for him for FFP. As we're recording this video, it's coming out that they might have that takeover after all. So frankly, they might be like, well, I don't care about Sean Longstaff going because we're going to go and sign De Bruyne in the summer because they're going to be very, very rich. But if it is him, I can see why. If it's not him, we need to jettison Delph, which I'm sure we will. And then Davies and Gomez don't fit the bill. They're not Allen and Decore type players. And if that's what we're built around, which clearly we are, we're going to need some cover for them.
Yeah, I think in terms of there's plenty of other positions we need to sort out as well. I think the right back is a must. I don't want to keep seeing Ben Godfrey playing at right back. I think he hasn't played particularly well there, and he's being sold short by the fact that he's got to play out of position.
Godfrey will be fine. I think the fact that he's playing Godfrey right back instead of Holgate, who's got experience there, shows that Benitez wants to have Godfrey in the team one way or the other. So I think Godfrey will be all right. I think he just sees him as a defender, and he's probably working on him to polish his game, because there are some weaknesses in Godfrey. I know he tackles like a train, but there are some weaknesses in Godfrey's game. And if there's any manager in the Premier League who will improve its defender, it is Rafa Benitez. Yeah,
certainly. But in terms of the team, I think that's the thing to really take away from Everton at the moment, is that we're getting a little bit more out of players in these games than we probably were last season.
Yeah, I don't know about more in the terms of like effort or like contribution, because they were, people like to rewrite history on Ancelotti now. They were, the club and the players, for the most part, clearly all adored Ancelotti and liked playing for him and whatnot. But I think Ancelotti clearly has different ideas on how some of the players played than Benitez does. It's not a shock to anyone that certain players who were bought the summer in Ancelotti's summer, some of them were club signings and some of them were Ancelotti signings. So Ancelotti wanted Allen and Rodriguez to sort of fill specific roles in his team, but then the club clearly had long-term targets of Decore and Godfrey. And Decore was basically Ancelotti got hold of him and thought, well, he's big, he's strong, he's mobile, he can cover in the midfield to pick up the slack that James Rodriguez is not going to, because he's my Roman playmaker. And so he just literally, when James was in the front right of the front three, Decore just literally covered for Coleman and James on that right-hand side of the middle three. No license to get forward, no nothing. Just used them as like a sort of defensive shield, whereas Benitez has come in and gone, no, I want him in a double pivot and I want him licensed to break into the box. And it's not that Decore is trying more now. He's just being played. He's getting deployed in a different manner, and his more natural game is coming out. That's something that Benitez has been good at so far, but it's also something that he's had made very easy for him, because some of the number 10s have been sold. To suddenly drop 2 number 10s from last season, it allows Decore to play a different role, and that it's got more out of him. Other than that, I think the players are putting in just as much as they did for Ancelotti, but there's a different voice now telling them to do different things. So it's getting more out of some and probably get less out of others if James had stayed, I don't think either got as much out of him as Ancelotti did, which is, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't think it's that Benitez is more liked. I just think he's playing some players in more of their natural position because he's got the freedom to and he's got the need to now, which Ancelotti didn't always have.
Yeah, but it's pretty a promising start of the season nonetheless. I think 14 points out of 7 games, averaging 2 points a game is a promising.
Yeah. Well, if you stick with that, you get in Europe at least, don't you? If you get 2 points
76 points, I think it is. So, we're talking, I think it's enough
still,
for Champions League place, definitely.
Yeah, we're doing very well. We've got, the new players have all contributed something, especially the outfield players and some of the play. It's exactly what people will go into, Benitez more in more detail in a minute, but his brief has been fulfilled so far for what he was asked to do. Make the most of the players you've got, get them playing better, and bring in players on a very, very small budget, but still improve the team. And he's done that so far.
Well, anyway, we'll leave the game at anyway. It's Manchester United 1, Everton 1. Let us know your opinions on the game, guys. Drop us a comment. Give this video a like, subscribe for more content. Until next time, guys. Thanks for watching on the Toffee Blues.